Hello and welcome to the North Stand with me, Sam Blacklock. We're delighted to have you join us today as we take a look at the latest sporting news around the North East and get the thoughts of our guest panel on Borough and Newcastle ahead of this weekend. We will also be taking a look at Teesside University campus sport in the weekly goings on around the university. Plus we will hear from Jake, who will be giving us an insight into Middlesbrough's new signing, Jack Harrison, in this week's Player Watch. But we start with some major talking points from around the North East. Sunderland is set to offer current youngster Ethan Robson a new contract to keep him at the club next season. The youngster has attracted interest from Scottish sides Celtic and Rangers, but the Black Cats are not rushing Robson to commit his future to the club. For the rest of the season, Robson will continue to get his chance to impress on Weir's side as Sunderland continue to battle against relegation. Elsewhere, Cleveland Police have today confirmed they are looking into Hartlepool United's finances. The club said police are responding to a request it made and that no one at the club is currently under investigation. No arrests have been made. And finally, in today's news, Gateshead have defended what has been described as an excessive police presence at the club's recent home match against Wrexham. Northumbria Police reportedly sent 30 officers to police a crowd of just 400. The move follows an incident at last Saturday's home game against Maidstone, where a small group of home fans threatened and antagonised the club stewards. T fans have now been given banning orders as a result of the trouble. And that is today's North Stand news. And now we go to Carys Noble as he is joined by three guests to discuss tomorrow's fixture, Middlesbrough against Reading.
Here I am with football fans Joe Usher and Callum Weller and Tommy Longworth. Lads, as you know, Middlesbrough have a tough fixture at the end of this week. We're playing Reading at home. How do you think they're going to feel? How they're going to pan out in that match?
I think we should win. However, we haven't scored at home since Boxing Day. But since it's Reading, bottom half of the table, 5 points off relegation, we normally beat teams like this. So.
I noticed you said that we haven't scored at home this season since Boxing Day. Yeah. A lot of fans talking about Tony Pulis not winning at home yet in the league. What do you think about that, Joe?
I just think you've got to take your time with him. Can't all expect it overnight, can we? These things are going to take time to bed in his ways and his instructions, and he hasn't got the tools at his disposal yet. He's only had one transfer window, remember, where he's not spent a penny.
Nah, that's fair enough. And Middlesbrough at the moment, we're set outside the playoffs, 6 points behind in 9th place. Tommy, do you think there's any chance of Middlesbrough getting into the final playoff spot?
Well, it is completely, but honestly, the Championship's a very, very tough league. You know what you've got to do is you've got to get a run of form going, and if, like I say, if Tony Pulis can't get a win at home, you know how is he going to rely on just away games just to kind of boost them up? You know, I think it's going to be a tough kind of run in the season, but you can get the playoffs. You've obviously got a chance at least. Obviously, Wolves are kind of flying at the minute. It's going to be very tough to at least catch them, but maybe second place, maybe top 6 potentially.
Fair point. And final words, lads. What's the score at the weekend, Joe?
I think 3-1.
To the Borough?
Yeah.
2-0 Borough.
2-0. Borough.
Now, it's only February and one Teesside sports team are already celebrating in style after winning their Bucks League earlier this week. Our reporter Andy Hayes went down to see Teesside take on Leeds Trinity.
This week's sports at Teesside University had some high and lows, but the main story of the week comes from the men's football second team winning the Northern 5B division title after defeating Leeds Trinity 5-2 in a game that brought celebrations amongst the players. I'm here today at Teesside University to watch the men's second football team take on Leeds Trinity in a very decisive game in which the winners will take the league trophy in the Northern 5B division. After a dominant start from Teesside, they took the lead just before the break to earn a 1-0 start for a lovely low-driven shot to the left by Danny Tomlin, giving them a goal to go into half-time. But the second half showed a quick scare as Leeds Trinity fired back immediately with 2 goals in 5 minutes, which ultimately kick-start a frenzy of goals to come. Thankfully, those were all from Teesside. A lovely dummy free kick allowed them to equalise and spur on a mountain of goals that would all end up in the Leeds goal. Kieran Watson scored a hat-trick and Michael Cardoso added to the score sheet to make the final score 5-2. This not only gave Teesside vengeance after losing to Leeds last week, but also meant that they would defeat their title-chasing opposition to lift the Northern 5B division title. The celebrations after from the players were very passionate as they sung their infamous song, Ain't No Mountain High Enough.
Ain't no mountain high enough.
So after an emphatic comeback in the end, because obviously you went 2-1 down, do you think you deserved to win the game in the end?
I do, 1,000,000%, yeah. I think, like I said, we played them last week and we dominated them again. We were very unlucky to get beat last week, but today I think we played them off the park. I think we were fitter than them, and I think the scoreline reflects the game, how the game went.
So what was your tactics when you went 2-1 down? Because obviously they came back in the first 5 minutes of the second half. So what were your tactics to change it?
Yeah, we realised that we were getting a lot of success down the right wing, so we channeled kind of the possession to go down that wing, and we did that, and I think it paid off, and that's how we got the goals in the end.
Yep. And who was your standout player today?
I think Daniel Maguire was fantastic. Jack McQuaid, the right back, was excellent, and then the captain today, Joe Trafford, was fantastic as well.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Amongst other winners were Teesside's futsal team, who thrashed Sunderland University 9-0 to keep their lead at the top by 4 points. Also in football, the first team continued to struggle to show dominance as they lost their third straight game against Durham, failing to score and conceding 5 in a heavy defeat. Elsewhere, the American football team Teesside Cougars continued their search for the playoffs, despite their heavy defeat to the Newcastle Raiders on Sunday. But their definitive game will come this upcoming weekend against the Edinburgh Predators, in which a victory will certify their spot on this year's postseason. And now the rest of the results for last week's campus sports. We'll begin with all the racket sports, but unfortunately no wins to report this week. Starting with badminton, who lost to league leaders Huddersfield 8-0, and Teesside Tennis also faced a heavy defeat to Durham 12-0. The squash team also lost to Durham 3-0. Moving on from this, on a higher note, the rugby teams for both genders both earned wins, with the men's side earning a 55-5 win against York, as well as the women's winning 46-29 against Leeds Trinity. And to finish, again on a high, our first and second women's netball teams both acquired wins, with the first team extending their points tally at the top with a 43-17 win versus Hull, and the second team defeated our varsity rival Sunderland 67-10. Thank you, and let's hope our teams can continue to earn wins, and a further congratulations to Teesside's men's second football team on their league win.
Thanks for that, Andy. Now we turn our attention to Newcastle versus Man United at the weekend. Lads, what do you think will happen? What's the score going to be? Who's going to win?
Well, Newcastle against Man United. It's a massive game for both clubs, really. Look, top and bottom of the Premier League, you know. Newcastle's struggling recently. They managed to get draws, but down there you need victories. You need the 3 points. You know, the 1 point at home against Burnley. You know, that's not what you want. You want the 3 points. And you know, but looking into the kind of game on Sunday, Rafa Benitez has got a striker back in, Soleimani, new kind of striker on loan. Will he be the man that Rafa's wanting, a goal scorer? You know, Dwight Gale, not a Premier League kind of quality goal scorer. Same as Oselu. You know, Soleimani and Leicester struggle to kind of get involved in the side of likes of Jamie Vardy kind of ahead of him. But, you know, he's got his chance here to kind of prove himself, just literally put the ball in the back of the net. Simple as that. We'll have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and see. And many fans, as you know, on social media have been talking about how this is Jose Mourinho's bogey ground. He's never won at St James's Park. Callum, do you think that run will continue? Or?
I think Newcastle upset Man United here. Man United dropped points against teams like Newcastle around that area. Newcastle got a few draws. They'll have confidence going into this game, and I think if they win, they're going to stay up, because you see the small teams, they beat the big ones, like West Ham struggled, beat Chelsea, good form. Newcastle get this good form now, they're going to stay up.
That's an interesting point. And Joe, do you think if Newcastle get the 3 points, are they going to stay up, or are they going to drop points elsewhere? Or
it's hard to say. It's tight to call. There's so many teams that are in poor runs of form and things like that at the minute. It's difficult to call, but I don't think they're going to do it. Even if they get the 3 points this weekend, which I can't see happening, I just can't see them staying up. They've not got the players, the quality and the strength and depth that they need in the Premier League. Going up against sides like Man United, it's okay beating them 1 week, but then next week when you're playing Liverpool away and Bournemouth away, they've got coming up, I just can't see it. There's a lot of good sides and a lot of sides in that area that will pick up points and go above them, I think.
So, what's the score going to be, lads? What's the predictions?
I'll go 4-0. 4-0 Man United.
2-1 Newcastle.
1-0 Newcastle.
Right. And now back to Sam in the studio.
Now Middlesbrough welcome Jack Harrison at the Riverside in the January transfer window, having joined from Borough on loan from Manchester City. Our reporter, Jake Self, tells us what Borough fans can look out for in their new signing.
This week on Player Watch, we take a look at Middlesbrough's new loan signing, Jack Harrison. Middlesbrough confirmed the signing of the 21-year-old winger last week. Joining on loan from Manchester City, Harrison was originally playing his football in America for New York City FC. Before Manchester City decided to buy Harrison, then immediately loan him out to Middlesbrough. The former Man United Youth Academy product has made his professional debut back in 2016 for New York City. Since then, Harrison has gone on to make 59 appearances for the American club, scored 14 goals in all competitions. While playing in America for New York City FC, Harrison was known as a direct winger who has the ability to not just create, but also score goals. Regarding his move to England, World Cup winner and Spanish international David Villa had a lot of praise for Harrison, referring to him as the golden boy and that we'll miss him very much. Last season in 2017, Harrison picked up 3 assists and 3 Man of the Match awards, as well as scoring 10 goals. The addition of Harrison is a welcome option to Tony Pulis, who's been reliant on winger Adama Traore in recent weeks. Join us next week when we take a look at another player from the North East region.
And that is all we have time for on today's episode of The North Stand. Thanks for joining us for our first episode. See you, same time, same place next week.